There we go. All right, everybody, we're live into LabCoatAgents.
Oh, we're live. Okay.
We got a special guest for us, and we're just gonna get right into this. Tarek, thanks for joining us. We got Rye Guy, we got Josh as well. Tarek, just so that we don't waste any more time, because first of all, we appreciate you being on. So
yeah, I'm actually sitting on set right now. I don't know if you see those cameras back there. They're waiting for me.
Dude, well, let's make this quick, buddy. I know you were in traditional sales before, like all the real estate agents tuning in here. What got you started into investing? What was that attraction?
All right. I know I'm going to give you the exact answer, and all of you wonderful real estate agents are going to appreciate this. Man, I started selling real estate at 20 years old, and I worked my ass off, man. I grinded when I was selling houses, door knocking, listing appointments, showing houses, buyers, going with other realtors. Like, I went through it all, right? I've been there. And it was late 2009, early 2010. I did a short sale transaction, and this thing was a nightmare. A first loan, a second loan, an IRS lien, and an HOA lien. So I worked my butt off for months and months and months. And doing a short sale is like doing 10 transactions. And at the end of the day, I think I made like a $7,000 commission. And then I remember the investor painting the house, putting in carpet, doing nothing else because it was new construction, flipped it, and he made about $127,000. Okay, that was the exact moment that I realized I was on the wrong side of the equation. Okay, that was the moment. I said, wait a minute, I have the skill to find the deals. I have the skill to negotiate the deals. Why am I not flipping the deals? Why am I doing all the work, making none of the money? So here's what I love about, real estate agents. Like, you guys are halfway there. If you really think about real estate investing, you are halfway there. You have the foundation. You have the knowledge. You are so close to adding a few tools to your tool chest to be a professional, house flipper and real estate investor. The difficult part about the business is knowing how to evaluate properties, knowing how to speak with sellers, knowing how to come up with ARVs. And real estate agents, you guys do that every day. And I was an agent doing that. And that's why I was able to become so successful so fast. So for you guys, man, if you've ever thought about doing more with real estate, you got to consider investing, because I'm telling you, you're halfway there.
That's so true, man. I think we have so many deals that we get, that we see, that we don't do anything on, right? It's like,
yeah, and it's just so close. So like, homeschool is my passion. I've been in the real estate business for 20 years, and teaching, coaching, training is my passion. And I'm going to tell you guys why coaching and training is my passion. My first 6 months at 20 years old in the business, you guys can look this up, I made $0. I worked my butt off, JCPenney pants, white socks, driving a 1985 Buick Park Avenue. I made no money. But what happened was, I was young and dumb enough to believe what adults would tell me. So at 20, I went to a Mike Ferry convention in a Sequoia Athletic Club in Buena Park, California. And they convinced me to sign up for coaching. And for me, I was so young and dumb. I'm like, oh, okay, so you can just hire a coach and then they teach you what to do and you make money. So I grew up with sports and I know how important coaches are. So I signed up for coaching, and my life completely changed. Within 90 days of signing up for coaching, I went from making $0 to making $120,000 in 90 days. Wow. At 20 years old, I moved from my mom's garage. 90 days later, I moved into $1 million house. And that's the thing I love about real estate. You can make life-changing money super, super fast. And, life-changing money to a lot of people could be $100,000, So that was it.
Dude, I love that. There you go. You just went in and out. So
yeah, I had a call COVID.
You've got your team here with you, Rye Guy and Josh. And I know they're the ones who are building this whole section out, right? So tell me a little bit.
Yeah, well, these are my boys, man. Rye Guy is the head instructor for a homeschooled. He's a real estate rock star and a real estate beast. Josh Troy is also my number 2, my business partner. He's an animal. So, I'm going to go film right now, but you guys are in trusted hands. These guys are my number 2s, and you guys are going to enjoy what you're about to hear.
I appreciate it, dude. Thanks for jumping on.
All right. And one last thing, the key to success with real estate investing is becoming an expert at finding houses. Remember I said that. All right, guys, enjoy the call and make it happen. I'm excited for you.
Have fun filming, bro.
All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.
So Tristan, if I could real quick, I'll do kind of a quick intro, and then I know we want to get to Rye Guy and what we put together for him and the Q&A, and you do such a good job of that. First of all, So excited to be back. I don't know if a lot of these people remember, we were in this group. We were just talking about this like the same time last year. So it's super cool to be back in this community. You have such a strong community, and I love the opportunity to speak to them. And yeah, listen, I mean, there's so much crazy stuff going on right now. So many people asking us, you know, like, what's this mean with the election, which way it goes, and what can we expect from real estate in 2021? And Tarek, it was his idea. He said, listen, hey, why don't we call Tristan back with his LabCoat group and do something special for his agent? And for those of you who don't know, I'm Tarek's business partner. We have a lot of different companies. One of them being our real estate investing education company. And Rye Guy, who you're going to hear from today, is our head coach there. He's been in the real estate investing education space for over a decade. He's flipped hundreds and hundreds of houses of himself. And he started off as a real estate agent, just like Tarek. So anyways, this is going to be a Q&A style format. I'll give it to Tristan, but we just wanted to find a way to add value to you guys. And I'll say this right now, we did bring something special. I wanted to give this to you guys at the beginning of this call, just because I know everyone's life is crazy, especially in real estate. If you have to jump off earlier, I would hate if you had missed it. So we put together just a free strategy session for those of you who just want to talk to Tarek's team, being Rye Guy, our head coaches, or if you have some questions on real estate investing and how to make that jump. I'm going to put a link in the chat box. We can make sure it's in the Facebook group too, Tristan. But for the people here, I just wanted to make sure that they get that free call. So anyways, Tristan, go ahead. Thank you so much for having us. And I'm stoked for you guys to hear from Ryan right now. I'll mute myself.
Dude, I love that. Is that link the Calendly link for a session?
Yep, I posted it too in here, and then if we could just make sure it's in the Facebook group. I don't know if that's different, if they could access it.
I'll post that up there as well. Well, let's get right into this, dude. Rye Guy. So, dude, the name Rye Guy. I played Mario Party, Mario Bros growing up, and I don't know if you know Shy Guy from Mario Brothers. Shy Guy he's got that cool mask. He's all red. Do you know him, Rye Guy?
I don't, bro.
Oh, dude. When we're done, Google Shy Guy. It reminds me so much of that. It's a cool character in Mario Brothers. So,
right on, man. Yeah, my name's actually Ryan, just so everyone knows, but everyone's called me Rye Guy ever since I can remember. So that's kind of what I go by. So yeah, feel free to kind of call me Rye Guy as when we see each other in the streets.
Very easy to remember, dude. Very easy to remember. So can you give us a quick intro as to your background and then how you got connected with Tarek? How did that whole thing happen?
Yeah, definitely. So my background's it's kind of an interesting story. I won't spend very much time on it just because obviously that's, you know, people probably don't want to hear too much about me. They just want to get some value out of this. But I will say that, you know, my background's kind of an interesting background because growing up, I was raised by like full-blown consumers that taught me how to be a consumer. I had consumer thinking. I had a consumer mindset. And I was very challenged in school as well. I barely graduated high school. I never went to college. Basically put it this way, I wasn't voted most likely to succeed. Intelligent, smart, those weren't words that I really heard describing myself. And you know, it's funny because like when people would ask me what I wanted to do when I grew up, I would just say, I just want to be a regular guy. Just want to be a regular guy. I don't know. That was my answer. And, you know, as I moved into kind of the professional atmosphere, I was driving pizzas, working at a surf shop. Mm-hmm. And I went, and then I got into sales, and my sales career started escalating. And over a 12-year path, I got to a point where I was overseeing all of Southern California, regional director of sales for Southern California. I basically call it adult babysitting. That's really what it was. I was always in human resources for nothing that I ever did, just stuff I had to take on the chin from my team and stuff like that. And ultimately, one day, one of our clients came in and we were talking, and they owned all these rental properties. And we started talking more and more about it. And my wife and I, because we were working 70 plus hours a week at that time, you know, we decided, man, we want to try to free up our time and have more time freedom in our life, right? See, most people are taught that money is the ultimate currency, but it's actually not. Time is. Time ownership is the ultimate currency, which unfortunately most people don't have. They don't have the ability to wake up every morning and choose what they want to do, how they want to do it. So we decided to get into real estate, and we thought by getting our real estate license that would really help us out. But we quickly realized that you don't really learn very much about real estate investing at all as a licensed agent. If you're lucky, your broker will teach you how to sell. But that's if you're lucky. I mean, there's a lot of people that are part of a brokerage, or they don't have trainings. They're not teaching them how to negotiate. They're not teaching them how to sell. You kind of just learn how to fill out a contract, really, right? And so what happened was there's only so many times you can drive someone around for 6 months and answer their questions and baby them and hold their hand and put them in front of their dream home multiple times for them to never make an offer, and then all of a sudden go into the witness protection program and never hear from them ever again. You know what I mean? It's like, how many times can that happen? And ultimately we realized that although being a real estate agent could provide chunks of income if we got good at making commissions, we were still trading time. We were trading so much time to make the commission. And we wanted to learn how to actually make money without trading time. We wanted to learn how to trade money to make money instead of learn how to trade time to make money. And those aren't topics they teach you in school. So I was in the right place at the right time. And I found a really good mentor that held our hand through processes for a couple years. And man, it just from there has led to today. I've done hundreds upon hundreds of transactions, and I'm just really grateful to be in the position where we have the ultimate time freedom. But I will say, being a licensed agent, having my license, it adds so much value to my investing business. And we can talk about that later if you like.
Oh, for sure, man. For sure. Well, I love that intro so that it sets the tone so that people understand your background, so that as we start talking about this and how to flip and do all of this, they understand that you're legit. That's my main reason for that. So being in real estate for me personally for about 16 years, I've seen like all of these deals just fly past me, and I'm like, right? And I'm making all this money for my clients, but it's not the same for me, right? Because I'm just on the commission side. Nothing against the commission in Southern California, by the way. But I do see that other side of it. So what skill sets or set that the real estate agent has makes it easy for them to transfer that over to investing? Like, why is it so easy for them?
So first of all, I don't really like to use the word easy because real estate investing isn't easy, and there's always risk involved, obviously. And risk comes from not knowing what your next move is, not knowing what to do. So there's always risk, but we can bring our risk down through increasing our financial IQ and increasing our financial education. So I usually don't tell people real estate investing is easy, but I do say it can be extremely simple if you have the right proven systems in place, if you have financial education, you have the right mentors, and you're surrounded by a good, solid community, just like this, of investors. It can be very simple, but the skill sets are very transferable. I mean, right off the bat, I think as a real estate agent, a lot of people understand that real estate in general is about patience, because it's all about a pipeline, right? Yeah. So you're only as good as your pipeline. And I think as real estate agents, they're always committed to building that pipeline, right? Increasing the amount of commissions that they have in that pipeline. And a lot of realtors understand that the efforts I put in today for the next 3 months, I might not see the benefit of that for 5 or 6 months from now. But if I stay consistent and I do my daily rituals and I'm consistent with those things, my phone could be ringing off the hook in 6 months. So I think one skill set right off the bat is patience, right? Understanding that, hey, nothing about real estate is a get rich quick deal. It's not a get rich overnight type deal. It's all about training and conditioning for the marathon, not the sprint. And so I think that's another thing as well, is that, realtors are used to training and conditioning to get better. And they're very coachable as well. So that's a very transferable skill. And then of course, here's what you got to remember. Most people can't do a deal from a retail standpoint, not investors, but from a retail standpoint without a realtor finding them that deal. So realtors learn how to find transactions. And that's very good because like Tarek said, you want to get really good at finding deals. The difference between a realtor and an investor is realtors are good at finding transactions through other realtors and through the MLS, which typically is going to be the skinniest deals with the most competition, but that can be transferred to getting good at finding deals where there isn't competition because you're targeting private sellers, distressed and motivated homeowners. So that skill set transfers over from a marketing standpoint.
Dude, that's a really good point that you bring up, because when we look at it that way, you read books like that Kiyosaki book. What was that? Rich Dad, Poor Dad, where he talks about building a team, right? And part of that team is a real estate agent, real estate broker, right? And so we've already got part of that down, because if you've been in real estate for even a year or two, you've already built a team without even knowing you have the team, right?
Yeah.
That's a really awesome part. So the challenge that I see most agents have, though, is getting started as an investor. So what would that first step, or even 2-3 steps, be for a real estate agent to get started?
So there's a couple. So that's a great question, by the way. And people always ask me that. You know, like I said, I'm very grateful to be in the position that I'm in right now. Especially when I say there's nothing that special about me other than really, I'm just the best copycat that I know. Like really, I'm the best copycat that I know. So there's so many different answers that I could give you as far as how to get started, and I'll give those to you. But let me just give you a macro answer first. True success. If someone wants to be successful in something, the way I break it down is there's 4 rules to success. Okay. The first one is find someone who already has what it is that you're seeking. Find someone who's already in a position that has what it is you're looking to do. So for example, if someone's wants to learn how to be a stone cold fire breathing real estate investor, well, there's so many things to learn, but the key is you got to make sure you learn from the right person. Because it's amazing how many people out there want to give us financial advice that are actually broke. How many people out there want to tell us about real estate and what our next moves are, but they're consumers, they're trained consumers. They don't really have any idea of what that looks like. So the biggest key right off the bat is first find a fire breathing stone cold real estate investor that's already in a position that you want to be, right? So like, why do people want to get into real estate? Well, because it's kind of sexy, because you can make big chunks of money and you can have time freedom, but it doesn't always work out that way. Now, here's the thing. I don't want to take financial advice and I don't want to take time freedom advice from someone who's not in a financial position that I want to be in and doesn't have time freedom, right? So find someone who's already in a position that you would want to be in. And then the second rule is, find out what do they do every single day to get there? What is their rituals? What is their routine? What systems do they have in place? So have them teach you what it is. Find someone who has what it is you want. Step 2, what are they doing to get it and keep it? How did they get there? There's got to be some type of path, right? Don't try to reinvent the wheel and repave a path. Find a proven path that someone has already taken to get there. And then step 3, once you learn it, do it, implement it, right? Consistently implement. And here's the deal. No matter how long it takes, no matter how much it takes, because a true master is a beginner that will begin as many times as it takes without judging themselves, right? That's the biggest key. Like we want to just keep going no matter what, no matter how long it takes, no matter what it looks like, because your results aren't going to show up necessarily the way you thought they were when they were, or they're not going to look the way you thought maybe they're going to look. So you have to be open to that. And then ultimately, once you achieve that success, step 4 is, man, turn around, put your hand out and become someone's mentor and start helping other people. Pay it forward. Help other people achieve lifestyle by design. For me, the biggest gift that I was ever given was the gift of financial education. I had the really solid people around me that wanted to teach me financial education. And for me, the best gift I feel I can give anyone is financial education. So that's the macro overview. If we start getting into like the nitty gritty, how to get started above me on getting a mentor, there's some crucial things that we want to learn. The first thing obviously is marketing. Okay. And not marketing from a retail standpoint, marketing from a wholesale standpoint, right? Because no leads will always equal no deals, and no deals will equal no profit. So the key is we want to learn how to build an automated marketing machine. Write that down. Automated marketing machine, which is one of Josh's specialties, by the way. He's probably the most ninja marketer I've ever met. Automated marketing machine generating more leads than time. And then we also want to learn how to do a back of the napkin analysis in 5 minutes or less. So in order to be able to compete, you got to be able to you got to lock things up quick, right? So if leads are coming in, what I can do is I can do a back of the napkin analysis in 5 minutes or less and make an extremely confident offer based on my back of the napkin analysis. So then once that happens, my goal, now I'm in business, by the way, because I got leads coming in and I can make quick decisions. That's the key, right? It's the opposite of retail, by the way. As you guys know, dealing with retail, they're not quick to make decisions. They're very indecisive. They're very wish-washy. It's not really a good model in investing, right? Successful people, they make quick decisions. They're not fence sitters, right?
Well, I'm going to interrupt you on that one, and then you can continue, only because it's a challenge for real estate agents sometimes to make quick decisions because they don't have those principles all set up, right? Because they're not used to this process. And that's why I loved what you said with the mentor process, because not only are they following a system, but they're also getting that whole mindset in the right place. And sometimes it takes a while to get there to feel comfortable making that quick decision, right?
For sure.
So that's a really good point that you bring up. So I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I just wanted to bring that up.
The reason, so the challenge for most people is, so let's just call it what it is. Most people in our country are raised by consumers to be consumers. They're taught consumer strategies and they grow into their adult life and they're getting consumer results. Most people aren't lucky enough to learn the secrets of the wealthy, right? From an early age and be raised around people that are high-level thinkers, secrets of the wealthy. Most people aren't raised by investors to be investors. So they don't grow up to be investors. So you're right. It takes a shift in mindset. And what's interesting is everything I learned as a consumer, as far as what it takes to get financially ahead, was actually the complete opposite that I learned as an investor. And I started realizing, although all these people in my life, my teachers, my parents, they did the best they knew how with the tools that they were given, but they just taught me what they were taught. And it's just a chain, right? We teach what we learned, what we were taught, and it just goes down. So it was up to me to break the chain. And so for me, the best choice I made was I decided, I said, hey, I don't want to be a consumer. I don't want to live a consumer lifestyle. I want to live the lifestyle of an investor. So the biggest key for me was I decided to change my teacher. And instead of learning business and investing and money from a consumer, I decided to start learning from high-level investors. And so if you surround yourself with individuals where you don't feel that smart, right? You never want to be the smartest one in the group, because now everyone's taking all the value from you, but you're not really getting any. So what I was smart enough to know I'm not that smart. I just need to surround myself with people that will give me access to information quick when I needed it. And ultimately, at first, I was able to make very quick decisions because I had a coach and a mentor. I was still scared. And what stops us from making that quick decision? Fear of losing money, fear of making the wrong move, fear of not knowing what to do. So for me, I knew that if I could have someone hold my hand that knew what my next move is, even if I didn't know, but they knew, then I could still take that next step. And the more times I did that with someone holding my hand, the more confident I got. And before I knew it, I was able to spread the wings and leave the nest and go out and do it on my own. So what I can tell you is fear is the opposite of confidence. How do you increase confidence when it comes to something like investing? You have to increase your financial education, your financial IQ, and learn all about investing from investors, learn investing systems. And as you start learning that, your confidence will start to increase. And as your confidence increases, you start to perform at higher levels.
That's so true. It's so true for everything, man. And I love that you brought that up on the financial IQ. Very true. So with the financial IQ, do you think we're heading in for a real estate recession or what?
Oh man, that's a good question, man. That's a really good question. I actually study this stuff. So I have a pretty detailed answer on that. Now, here's the thing. No one has a crystal ball, right? No one has a crystal ball to tell us what's going to happen. But here's what I can tell you. So there's real estate investing education and there's also financial education, and they go together. But financial education is understanding the money system and actually understanding that the money system we're in right now is actually the biggest scam in the history of the world, because none of us actually use money. We use a currency system, and it's going down in value. So all money is actually like the currency. It's just numbers on a screen, a ledger system, and it's all going down in value by the second. And it's interesting because people are taught, well, what do you do with your money? Well, you save it. Well, where do you save it? You save it in a bank. Well, a bank pays you 0.25%, but inflation's going up 2 to 3% per year. So if I have my money in a bank earning 0.25%, but inflation's going up 2 to 3% a year, here's the challenge. No matter how hard I work, no matter how much money I save, the Federal Reserve is just going to print money faster than you can work and save it and devalue what you're doing and be able to buy you back for free. So you have to learn how to get higher returns than inflation to actually be successful as an investor. So that's why when I answer this question, I want to tie that in. It's important to understand the history of money. And it's also important to learn how to study economies, something called macroeconomics, which is fueled by government policy. So you've got monetary policy and you have fiscal policy. Fiscal policy has to do with taxes and spending, and monetary policy has to do with money supply and interest rates. So the government has direct control over the economy, by the way. How do you increase an economy? You decrease interest rates and you increase money supply. How do you decrease an economy? You decrease money supply and you increase interest rates, right? So it's important for everyone to understand that to understand a real estate market, it's actually a cycle, and it's very profitable for the powers that be to stick to a specific cycle, because a lot of people are taught that the government runs the world, but they don't. The corporations do. We live in a corporatocracy, right? So the same people that have infiltrated into government also own food, water, energy, big pharma, Federal Reserve, central banking, all these things. So in order to understand where we're going, you have to be able to look at the past. Okay, so here's what I can tell you. In the last 250 years, listen carefully, because this is not something you're going to see on the news or learn in school. In the last 250 years, we've had 11 real estate recessions total. 11 in the last 250 years. Now, here's what's interesting. If you study the recessions, from recession to recession, it's never been shorter than 17 years. It's never been longer than 24. From recession to recession, I actually wish I had I have a slide for this, but maybe we can do a training some other time. I can show you all the actual dates.
Yeah,
but
I would love that.
So from recession to recession, it's never been shorter than 17 years. It's never been longer than 24. So you average out, the real estate time clock averages out around a 19-year cycle. It's called a real estate time clock. And here's typically the cycle. It's a 13 to 14-year upswing, a correction, and a 3 to 4 down. 13 to 14 upswing, correction, 3 to 4 down. Okay. Now here's what's interesting. Halfway through the 13 to 14 year upswing, there's always notoriously in all 11 recessions, there's always been something called a mid-cycle slowdown that happens in the middle. So you have a correction, then you hit a bottom, then you start climbing, and it's always mathematically perfect. Halfway through, you have what's called a mid-cycle slowdown. And here's what's interesting. It's always something that affects the whole world. The last mid-cycle slowdown we had was September 11th, 2001. Okay. Now, here's what's interesting. A mid-cycle slowdown, what happens always is they loosen money. They loosen money every single time. Okay. So now watch this. We corrected in 2008, but we didn't bottom till 2012. We did not bottom until 2012. If you look at the housing data, prices kept dropping. They didn't start coming back up until 2012. So then a 13 to 14 year upswing would be 2025 to 26. Well, here's what's interesting. About halfway through that upswing, we're in a pandemic. And what's been going on with money? Well, money's very loose again. So I don't know if you guys know, but subprime is back. It's called non-prime. Google it. It's called non-prime stated income. A lot of lenders have gotten rid of debt to income ratios for qualifications, 500 credit scores, down payments gifted. Start Googling non-prime. And so what happens is they loosen money and they create opportunities for people who couldn't buy before. They can all of a sudden buy. So it creates a whole nother wave. So if you think about it, in 2001, we had a mid-cycle slowdown. What did they do? They loosened money. And then subprime, we had 5 or 6 years of a huge upswing before the next collapse. So ultimately, from everything that I've studied and the fact that we're mathematically perfect right now, it's literally impossible to have a real estate recession when interest rates keep dropping and we're printing this much money. And I'll tell you why. A lot of people think inflation's normal, but it's not. The reason why we have inflation is because they print so much money that the value of the dollar keeps going down. So the dollar's not as strong as it used to be. So it takes more of the same dollars to buy the same asset. So like, why will real estate be more 20 years from now than it is today? Because the dollar's not going to be as strong. So it's going to take more of the same dollars to actually buy that same asset. So we've already printed $5 trillion since the coronavirus, and interest rates are as low as it's been, which means that creates hyperinflation. So what do you do in that time? Here's what I do. I'm in the business of borrowing as an investor. It's completely opposite from what I was taught as a consumer. I was taught, don't go into debt, don't owe anyone anything. Yeah. But I had a mentor that said, hey, Rye Guy, there's 3 sides to a coin. There's heads, tails, and the edge. And he told me, he said, true intelligence always lies on the edge because it's the only place you'll be able to see both sides. And most people only get taught one side of an issue their whole life. So they make a decision and they basically create belief systems and become programmed around having half the intelligence. And so I only learned one side of debt. And as I started getting new investor, I had good mentors. I learned the other side of debt. And what I learned was that, man, if you know how the art of borrowing, every single time you borrow, you get paid. Every single time I borrow, I get paid. This sounds crazy. By the way, these aren't conversations I go have at a Thanksgiving dinner table because my family, this is not the type, you know what I mean? They can't talk about it. They want to talk about like, you know, the cover of Us Weekly and these type of things. This is the type of stuff I like to talk about, right? Yeah. But ultimately, what do? I borrow money that's going down in value while it's still worth something. Because by the way, if you look at Greece, if you look at Zimbabwe, in the 80s, the Zimbabwe dollar was stronger than our dollar, US. It was stronger. What happened? War and all these other things, they printed money, hyperinflation, value went all the way down to 0, and they had to create a whole new currency. So what do? I borrow money while it's still worth something, but I instantly trade it for an asset. I don't want to put money in a bank account and let it rot out and go down in value. I'm going to trade it for an asset and I'm going to put a tenant in there, right? And what's going to happen is I'm going to start cash flowing.
Dude.
And as they keep printing money, the value of the dollar goes down, which means the value of my rents are going to go up. And as the value of the dollar goes down, the value of my asset goes up, but my mortgage is fixed. I have a stranglehold on it. So now I get to make spreads.
Yeah.
And that's how you make true wealth as a real estate investor, is understanding market cycles, timing them properly, and learning how to get in at the very bottom and riding that next 18 to 19 year upswing up, because that's where your great grandkids will never have to work again if you play your cards right.
I love that, dude. So for those of you who are trying to keep up, because Guy, that was a lot of knowledge you just dropped, bro. So just remember this part. I wrote it down so that people can remember that: borrow something that's declining and buy something that's going up.
That's huge. I'm so glad you picked that up.
That's what you said. So that's a beautiful thing, man. I mean, the dollar's going down. Buy real estate, because over the next few years it's going up, right? And forever.
Yep.
So that's
so borrow. It's just like stocks, right? Shorting. You short stocks. If you think the company is going to go down, you don't buy shares, you borrow shares, right? You borrow the shares, and then when the stock goes down, you give the shares back, right? So it's the same exact concept. So here's what Warren Buffett says: when you borrow money and put it into assets, what he calls that is shorting the US dollar. That's what he calls that. When you borrow something that's going down in value and you put it into assets that are going up in value, you're shorting the dollar. Now, I saw here some people were saying, what about tenants that aren't paying rents and things like this? So that's going to be a challenge. That can be a challenge. But what I've also learned is that you want to make sure that you don't get sucked into rental properties in the wrong areas because the returns look so much better on paper. There's a certain type of tenant that makes sure that their rent is paid versus others, right? And what I can tell you is that I own lots of doors, and man, we're still at like 95% of people paying rent currently right now, which is amazing. But we buy in the right areas, right? And so on. And a lot of people don't realize too, because with the coronavirus, like a lot of people are leveraging not paying rent, but they have to actually prove that they have coronavirus or that they've lost their job or all these different things. So to answer your question, what you want to do is you want to get good at not just researching addresses, but researching markets. Like, for example, one market that I own, that I'm in, that I've been in for years, is Memphis. Why is Memphis such a good market? Well, first of all, they have one of the strongest workforces in the world. They have FedEx there, right? They have Xerox, a lot of stuff, but over 50% of the population rents. So when 50% of the population rents, there's just the supply and demand kicks in, right?
I love that, man. Well, look, let's get into this part that most agents want to hear, and that's: what's the quickest way to start earning profits as a real estate investor?
So, okay, that's a great question. So again, I'm going to give you the quickest way, but I also don't want to lead people to believe that this is a get rich quick deal, because again, I just want to throw that out there, because wealth building is a marathon. It's not a sprint. So what do you do for a marathon? You train and you do reps constantly. So the quickest way is to do reps and get educated. But ultimately what you'll notice is there's a strategy called wholesaling that is one of the simplest ways to get in, because once you learn it, you can do it with little to no money and no credit. And it's very similar to what a real estate agent currently does now, okay? Because a real estate agent represents buyers and sellers, and they're in the middle. They're in the middle of buyers and sellers. And what happens is they get paid to do that. Well, a wholesaler is kind of doing the same thing. They're in between buyers and sellers, okay? And they're getting paid to do that. But wholesaling is flipping a contract, not flipping a house. So let me give you an example. If I'm going to rehab something, the lead comes in, I'm going to analyze it, I'm going to lock it up. Okay. So as an investor, when we say lock it up, obviously that means I want to go to contract. Okay. I want to control it. If I control the transaction, I have a due diligence period to make sure it's the right transaction for me to move forward or back out of that transaction. Now, let's say, I'll give you a simple example. Let's say I lock something up for $100,000. I'm in contract for $100,000. And let's say it needs about $50,000 in repairs. But with those $50,000 in repairs, let's say that the ARV, the after repair value, so that's what we believe it will sell for based on the comps once we do all the proper updating. So the after repair value ARV, let's say, is at 250. So you're in contract for 100, you put 50 in, and then you sell for 250. By the way, that's not 100K profit because there's different expenses that go along. So it's not like the TV shows where they just show you gross profit. That's another thing you want to remember. A lot of people do a deal. They don't realize how skinny the deal is because they didn't ever learn all the expenses that are going to go along with facilitating the transaction, and they can really add up. So watch this. I'm in the buying position so I can either close for $100,000, or because I have control of the contract, I can turn around and sell my buying position to someone else, and I can charge them to take over my buying position. So for example, let's say that I'm in contract for 100,000 and you, Tristan, you want to rehab the house. And so let's say I assign the contract to you for 10,000.
Okay.
So you're not buying the house for 110,000. You're buying the house for 100,000 and you're buying the contract for 10,000. That gives you the rights to buy the house for 100,000. And so I would use something called an assignment of contract, which, by the way, you guys are in SoCal. I know you are, and I see realtors all over.
Yeah.
All the zip forms have an assignment of contract in there.
Yep.
A lot of realtors are kind of nervous with it, and brokers sometimes, oh, I don't know this, but an assignment of contracts there. So that's a great way as a realtor. You're already kind of in between buyers and sellers anyways. So what do? You're already learning to find deals. Go learn how to target distressed and motivated sellers, lock it up, and then you sell the contract to someone else. And so the difference between wholesaling and rehabbing is when you close on the transaction as a wholesaler, the transaction's done. When you close on the transaction as a rehabber, you're just starting, and now you have to manage construction and processes. And it's great because there's great profits. But as a rehabber, you might have to wait 6 to 9 months sometimes to get paid. I have a project I just hit market with. It took me 5 years. It took 3 years to get the permit, the whole deal. So it's nice to get some quick hits in between as a wholesaler.
So I have a question here, because in real estate, we hear a lot of things back and forth, a lot of good and bad, right? We hear that wholesaling, some people say it's amazing and some people say it's illegal, right? So is wholesaling illegal?
Okay, so here's the thing. So 2009, that's a great question. I'm really glad you brought that up, because there's so much misinformation that stops high level and real estate agents from actually having opportunity to make money on a wholesale transaction. First of all, in the state of Illinois in 2019, they actually passed a law that you have to have a real estate license to wholesale now. It's the only state that's done that. Realtors were kind of getting upset because there's a lot of people coming in and doing wholesales. Okay, but here's the thing. A lot of people will say it's illegal, but they don't truly understand. It's like when I'll give you an example. If I'm on the phone, because I'm a realtor, I sell all my own houses, right? Mm-hmm. If I'm on the phone with a realtor and I'm making an offer and I say, and they say they have 3 offers, and I say, okay, well, where do I need to be? Like, tell me what's your highest offer right now? And they go, well, that's illegal. I can't tell you that. Well, you actually can tell me. It's in Gary Keller's book. If you read the book, you actually are allowed to tell me what your offers are unless they submitted a non-compete, non-disclose, which is also in the zip forms as well. Most people never will do that because they don't know. So they lump the two together and they think it's illegal to tell you. No, it only is if you submit a non-compete, non-disclose. Now, ninja tip, always submit a non-compete, non-disclose with your offers, because now legally they're not allowed to tell other people what your offer is. Okay. But here's the thing with wholesaling. If you wholesale the wrong way, it could be misrepresented that you are trying to be a real estate agent, and it could be illegal. Okay, so here's the difference though. Let me break this down. A real estate agent represents principals in a transaction, and a wholesaler is a principal in the transaction. So in essence, it becomes like a for sale by owner. So as soon as I have a contract between me and the seller, I have what's called an equitable interest. Write that down, everyone, because this is what makes it not illegal. It's these two words. I have what's called an equitable interest into the transaction. A realtor doesn't. I have an equitable interest, which means I get to close, or I can market and sell my buying position to someone else. And so a lot of times though, what you'll see, watch this. I'll give you an example of illegal wholesaling. Someone's in contract for $100,000 and they put it on Craigslist and they want 10 grand for the contract. So they put it under real estate for sale. So it's already misleading because it seems like you're selling a house, but you're not, you're selling a contract. And then they say purchase price 110,000, rehab this, here's photos. So in anyone's mind, they're buying a house. Well, now it could easily be misconstrued that you're acting as an agent, and you're actually not, because you're not selling a house. You're selling a contract that gives someone the rights to buy the house under the terms and conditions that you've already negotiated. So in order to do that properly, what I would do is I would say, here's the house, here's the address. I'm in contract for $100,000. Here's what the repairs look like. And I'm selling the contract for $10,000. Because I'm not selling the house, I'm selling the contract. So you have to decipher the difference between the two. And if you have an equitable interest, you're a principal. And so you're not acting as a real estate agent.
Dude, that makes total, I love this. And you know what? I think you're just scratching the surface with everything that you're telling us.
For sure, man.
So I know that we can do like a part 2, a part 3, and a part 4, this whole thing. And I want to have you back first. But I think for everybody listening in, I think it'd be a good idea if we could do like a private thing for everybody. Are you up for that?
You mean like a private type training?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually, so what I'll share with everyone is, it's a gift to get this information, but it's actually a gift for me to give it. It's actually therapeutic for me. I love teaching financial education.
You can totally tell, bro. You just go. And
I love it, dude. I love it, man. It's totally therapeutic for me. Yeah, I think right now, you know what? Let's do that, Josh. I would say get with Josh because he knows my calendar. Get with Josh and he knows his calendar too. Yeah, let me see in the chat box. What do you guys think in the chat box? Would you guys, if we were willing to put a high level training on how to get started investing with standard operating procedures and systems, is that something that you guys would log on to?
Yeah, I need yeses for him to be able to do this. Oh, perfect.
Okay.
So yeah, they're coming in, dude.
Okay, cool. Yeah, let's do it then. If you guys would want us to do that, I would love to do that. In fact, you know what would be pretty powerful? We could cover some of the biggest lessons that we learned in the last recession, as well as an investor, and how to just, I mean, literally be a ninja. And here's what I want everyone to know about real estate in general and real estate markets. When you get educated and you have a high financial IQ, it doesn't matter what the market's doing. All that matters is what you're doing when the market's doing what it's doing, because we're buying below market all the time.
Dude,
We're not buying at market, we're buying below. So we're creating spreads. We're not waiting for markets to appreciate. We're forcing appreciation through value adds.
So Ryan, let me ask you this, dude, because I'm surprised how many people are saying, yeah, they want to do this training. I guess I shouldn't be surprised. It was just shocking how many there were. So I can definitely see if we have some time to schedule like a private presentation for the LabCoatAgent people. I was thinking, what if we put together like a commissions to profits training where we can make like a private presentation specifically on how real estate agents can leverage their existing skill sets that are like transferable to getting into some of this real estate investing stuff. Because Tarek said at the beginning of the webinar, like as a real estate agent, you're already halfway there. Mm-hmm. And I think that'd be really cool. It's kind of like a bridge the gap webinar And I think that's something that we could work with Tristan on setting up if you're willing.
Dude, I'm down. I think real estate agents need more of this information because, like you guys said, Tarek, right guy, we're already there, right? We just need to know more of what to do to be able to just take it to that final level.
Exactly. That's crucial, man. That's crucial because what happens is, like, making commissions is amazing, but learning how to mix in making profits as well and sitting on the other side of the closing table is really powerful. And then when you start to learn how to start making money without trading time and making true passive income, what a lot of people don't realize, Tristan, is when you start building your rental portfolio of assets, the most tax advantaged income, because it's not subject to FICA tax. So what happens is, as a real estate agent, you're self-employed. So you have to pay 15.3% FICA tax, right? Social Security and Medicare, right? That's the way it works. Well, what a lot of people don't realize is passive income is not subject to FICA tax, period. So if you start converting some of your income from active over to passive, you've just decreased your tax bracket by 15% by doing nothing but learning how to not trade time. And then here's the power. You get huge cost segregation and depreciation write-offs on your rental assets that come off of your real estate agent income. So when you find a good mix, you could be making multiple six figures a year and paying zero in taxes legally because you're using the tax write-offs from the passive income to minimize your tax liability on your active income. So as an agent, it's so important to learn these things. And not just for that, but a lot of you on this call, you probably want to learn how to be better agents for investors to get more investor clients.
I think that's key, because that goes to what you were saying, which is that once we raise our financial IQ, our clients, those investors, will know we know what we're talking about too. So that's important. Guys, I'm going to send you over everybody that registered so that you can blast them with whatever date you guys want to do this private session. Because I know some people didn't chime in on the Calendly link for a session with you guys. So this way, if we missed anybody, we can bring them back in with that. Is that okay, Josh? Right, guy?
Yeah, that link again.
Yeah, I'll send in the chat box. We just wanted to find a way to bring some value to you guys. I'll tell you guys this. If you're booking the strategy session, the first handful of people, I'm going to make sure I do my best to make sure that the call's with Rye Guy himself. Don't hate me for that, Rye Guy. But after that, you'll be talking to one of our team members. Just book it in there because we do have, I think, appointments through next week, if I remember, available appointments through next week. So go ahead and book that if you guys want to talk to Rye Guy and our team more about this type of stuff. And then Tristan, give us a day or two. I'll get with Rye Guy and figure out a training that would be really, really solid for everybody here. And we'll throw a webinar and we'll try to come up with something that we think will really shed a lot of light in a lot more granular detail what Rye Guy was going over here today.
Yeah. And let me throw something out too. A lot, because I see a lot of stuff. People are like, oh, I like the market research. I like the market predictions. Write this down. This is a very powerful book. It's like a $30 book, but it's like a Bible. So this is like something that you want to have. It's called The Secret Life of Real Estate and Banking. And that takes a hard look at the 11 recessions and teaches you about the real estate time clock. It's going to be very powerful. The Secret Life of Real Estate and Banking. You can find it on Amazon or other places. That's going to be super powerful. And then, make sure to get scheduled for a strategy session because basically what that is just getting to know you, what your business looks like right now. And then obviously we're not financial advisors. We're not accountants. We're not attorneys. So we don't give advice, but what we do is we teach you high-level strategies that can be very helpful in those strategy sessions that have been taught to us by our mentors over the years. So maybe some of you are wanting to talk about, like, maybe you've had a challenge, you've wanted to flip houses, but you have a challenge finding contractors, or maybe you want to learn more about how to get started in marketing, or maybe you've hit a plateau and you just need to learn how to get to the next level. Whatever it is, it's your strategy session. It's 30 minutes. It's free. So we typically do this towards the end of every year, kind of the holiday giving season. So be sure to book that so that we can connect. And even if it's not me personally doing it, it's my team. And I always typically will come in at the end of the strategy session to answer questions and stuff like that. So
Dude, I love it.
You guys.
Well, like I said, besides the private session, you guys, I'm going to send both of you, Josh and Rye, the registered list so that you guys can send the link. So if people want to go in with you guys privately, if they missed it here, they'll get it there. But let's at least do a second and third and fourth and fifth session of this, dude. I have a lot of questions that I didn't get to, and we're at the top of the hour already.
Yeah. Hey, man, we would love to. We could put together a training series for you guys. Again, you know, what's interesting about like making money is a lot of people think that the key to life is chasing money and making all this money. And what I started learning as I started making a lot of money is that for me, my purpose wasn't to make money. My purpose was to chase being of service. And the more of service I made myself and the more I helped and give back, not only the more significant and fulfilled did I start feeling and do I feel, but the more money I started making. It's interesting, right? Because money always flows in the direction that it feels like it's going to be treated best.
Yeah, dude.
I want to say something real
like
quick
that.
as we end.
Good, right?
I have a hard 12. I'm frustrated, guys. I've been sending stuff and replying to your guys' questions this entire time in the chat box, and literally just now realized that it said it was sending to panelists only. It said all panelists, so a lot of the attendees weren't getting it, which is totally okay because that just means there's more to share in the private training. But just to make sure, can you guys let me know if this link that I just sent went through? It says it's going to all attendees now.
Yeah, I see it, buddy. Yep.
Okay, what a bummer. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I was trying to everything that he was talking about. I was giving links and stuff, talking to you guys. One thing that I'll say that somebody asked earlier, RealFlow is a great software to get started in investing. Really helps you with comping, list pulling, all that stuff. I'm not going to go over everything I sent in the chat box, but the one that a few people asked, check out RealFlow. That one's great. I don't have like a deal with them or anything, but I'm just letting you guys know.
Hey, I actually do. I get like almost half off on RealFlow if someone's interested, so they can just shoot you an email or something.
Okay, yeah. So, just bring it up on your strategy call, guys. I totally forgot that there is a discount for that. But just when you book your strategy session, whatever it is you guys need, we'll help however we can. That being said, I have a hard 12. I know we got to go, Ryan.
Yep.
But we'll get with Tristan. Thanks for everyone that was here, and we'll put together a dynamite training for next time.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
Right on, guys.